Welcome everybody to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. I'm here today with Farbode Markazi and Alex Rudy. I'm Alex Uy. And I guess baseball has officially begun, sort of. Yay. Spring training. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Yay. That was a weird intro, but yeah, spring training started. All the major league teams are in the swing of things right now. Games don't start for another week or so, right? 2 weeks? I don't know.
About a week.
Okay, cool.
About a week ago.
No.
Aha, no. Yeah, but there will be professional baseball at the major league level being played soon enough. A few things, of course, with most spring trainings, people making first impressions. I think Yoenis Cespedes has stolen the show, though, this spring training, by showing up with a different car for 8 straight days, showing up to camp.
My biggest thing is I think he's driving these here because he knows that there's no way he's going to drive them in New York.
That makes sense. I mean, you could probably get one of them. I mean, you probably just buy another one for New York, right? Like he's got his. Those are just his spring training cars.
What about his he could get a helicopter for New York.
That's true. I mean,
why go small?
Yeah, but
You should just ride the rookies to practice.
Yeah, true.
Very true. Just hire the rookies to come and grab a chair and lift them all the way to practice.
Yeah, I should have pulled up a list of the cars. Do either of you guys have a list handy or?
I can find one.
Yeah, so they're all clearly very expensive cars. You just coming off a nice contract, $27 million this year, I think. So he's got the money to spend on it. No doubt about that.
He's upgraded all of them too.
Yeah, he's made personal modifications.
It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know. Like if you get that kind of money, a lot of people think I'm gonna buy a house for my family, or do some there's some things that need to be done when you get paid, right?
Wait, do you want to hear all the cars that he brought?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and list those first.
Ford F-250, which is a pretty gigantic truck. Okay.
And if you want to see pictures of them, they're everywhere on the internet. So
Polaris slingshot motor car. It's like a tricycle. Let's see what else. The Lamborghini, an Alfa Romeo. Are you sure it's 8? I know it's 4. A Jeep, a custom Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah, I remember that one. There was another Polaris somewhere in there.
Yeah, two Polarises, you're right. There were 2 Polaris slingshots. So, yeah, you can see where his paycheck's going.
Yeah, and
Sorry, go.
No, yeah, I just said I saw, a quote from him. He was saying, I worked hard to get to this point in Cuba. I rode my bike to the field because I couldn't afford a car, and now, I worked hard to get here. I want to enjoy it. I mean, that's fair, but it's odd that your first instinct is I'm gonna buy a collection of cars.
Yes, I agree completely.
Yeah. So we'll see how many more he's got up his sleeve. Another spring training story that a player that normally grabs people's attention in spring training is Pablo Sandoval. In recent years, it's been for his impressive weight loss. Not so much this year.
No, it switches every year. It's either he's coming 20 pounds lighter, or he's coming fat.
I think he's consistently come into spring training light and then put on the weight throughout the season. This year, no. He did not lose any weight the season he was reportedly told to lose 15 to 20 pounds. Which...
I think he gives Pujols a run for his money. His worst contract in the league.
Yeah, I think... No, and Josh Hamilton, obviously, too, is one of the worst ones out there.
I mean, does that count because he's released?
No, the Angels are still paying him.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know that. I guess that makes it even worse because he's not even playing for them.
Yeah,
So that's true.
that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm okay with Pablo Sandoval being Pablo Sandoval, but when the team explicitly tells you, "Hey, we want you to lose 15 to 20 pounds," like that's when you do it, right?
Maybe he thought they said gain.
Yeah, maybe he read it wrong.
Yeah.
Good thing they didn't. Good thing they didn't tell him to lose more, and so he wouldn't accidentally gain more.
Like, that picture was just horrendous.
Yeah, and I think it's there's angles and all. He's been fat for a long time. As many people know, Pablo Sandoval is fat. This is not the news. The news is that his spring training habits have changed, which I don't know what it's gonna do for him going into a season playing Major League Baseball every day, but
He really needs to ask his teammate, Big Papi, how to actually look good while being fat. Like, that was... Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he's gonna...
scarring.
I don't know how he's gonna do it. I'm not worried about the Red Sox in terms of, what they're gonna do with him. And it's not like they have options there if for whatever reason he doesn't work out the way they want him to. They've got a nice utility player in Brock Holt that can definitely handle that spot. Yeah, the Red Sox don't have the problem. I think it's Sandoval's problem right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what he can do, though, as always. Let's get into a few free agent acquisitions. It was a messy week this past week, and with the Orioles in particular. They were initially reported to be interested in Giovanni Gallardo and Dexter Fowler. They seem to be closing in on both of them. They seem to close in on Gallardo for a 3-year deal first, pending a physical, which he did not pass necessarily, so they had to renegotiate that contract. Ended up being a 2-year, $22 million deal for Gallardo. And then,
I think there's an option there, right, or no?
There probably is. I don't have that open.
I'm pretty sure
right
it's a 3rd-year option.
Probably, yeah.
It's a 2-year 22, and it has a 2018 option. But the one they had originally was 3-year 35. But, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't... Orioles have a lot of guys that seem to fail their physicals. One player that didn't have to worry about that is Dexter Fowler, who had a 3-year offer from the Orioles, and it looked like that was going to be a new home for Dexter Fowler. It makes sense, they need an outfielder. Fowler can definitely handle a transition to a corner spot if they need to. Yeah, he ended up re-signing with the Cubs, who have now a pretty crowded outfield.
They're pretty crowded everywhere.
Yeah, they have a pretty crowded team.
I'll be honest. It made me really mad that he signed with the Cubs. I mean, there's just no, it just doesn't make sense in so many ways.
I mean, I guess it makes sense for Dexter Fowler because it seems like he's going to play. It seems like he's going to play.
If he wants to make the big bucks next offseason, he would have signed with the Orioles to play every day and look and boost his value.
So what it seems like, though, is that he's going to play for the Cubs. It seems like he's going to play center field now. Hayward's going to stay in right field, and Soler and Schwarber are going to share left field and mix and match whatever Joe Madden wants to do there. That's what's odd to me why the Cubs would do that, is they seem to have their outfield set, and then they're like, we'll bring this guy back. We'll bring you back. Okay. We'll change our plans. We'll change our plans at the last second here.
It's not, but kind of like going back to what Farbode was saying, it's not even just that their outfield is set. Their whole team is already crowded before you even talk about...
Ben Zobrist doesn't have a complete spot, and they signed him to a pretty good deal.
Yeah, he's going to play second base for them. I don't doubt that.
They're not going to have Baez, Schwarber, and Soler basically as platoon guys.
Yeah, they have so many guys that are ready. That are ready at the major league level or almost ready at the minor league level. Position guys, and their team is so crowded right now. I expect them to not. I mean, we talked about this like 20 minutes ago. Not rush into a trade for a pitcher, but if they get a trade for a pitcher, they have the position guys to get a pitcher and help out their staff
Yeah.
at least.
Well, they just traded away their fifth outfielder, I guess, Coughlin, to the A's for a
So-
relief pitcher, Aaron Brooks, right?
Coughlin's so good, man.
Coughlin is going to be good for the A's, I think, because he's
He's
a
the-
utility
he's a-
player.
He's an Oakland A type of player.
Yeah, utility guy. He can play second base for them, and he can play outfield if they need it. They have a lot of outfielders already, but that's good for them. So I don't know what the Cubs' plan is. They just kind of shifted course the last second. It's a little bit odd. I trust Joe Madden. Obviously, the Cubs are not going to be worse for having another player, but I think it's going to be tricky now. They're making it hard for themselves. Yeah, so that's all with the Cubs, but the Orioles, man, they just can't seem to get anything done. Like they spent an entire offseason trying to sign Chris Davis, and they eventually did to a really weird contract. And then, they try to sign a couple guys at the end here. They sign a pitcher that doesn't pass their physical the first time through, and then they let another guy slip away. What is it with the Orioles?
They,
Did we lose Rudy?
Did we?
I think we lost him. Go ahead.
Alex,
Hello?
Hi.
no, we didn't.
Hello.
Hello. Did you hear any of that?
Any of what?
What I said about the Orioles?
No.
Okay. Well, I basically asked, what is going on with the Orioles this
They
offseason?
fucked up.
Yeah.
This is quite frank. Because, can I just have my spiel?
Yeah, do your
Yeah.
spiel.
They were probably, it's not that Dexter Fowler or Yvonne Gallardo are such amazing players or that they're world changers, but the fact is this team was probably going to the year as the worst team in a very talented, crowded AL East. They needed to replace Wai and Chen. They needed to actually spend money on a team that's kind of in a weird limbo where half the players are kind of exiting their prime, and half the players are entering their prime. They have a very weak rotation, and they probably had missed their real window of contention. And they replaced Chan with Gallardo, which is all great and good. But the fact that they couldn't sign Fowler to add to the outfit, not that Fowler's amazing, but you know what you're getting with him. He's solid, guaranteed production. And they just have two gigantic holes in outfield. Like, they're huge. I mean, they have zero corner outfielders. I mean, that's coupled with the fact that they have, Jonathan Shope.
One of those is right.
I think one of those, right?
It's Scope.
And and heavily declining J.J. Hardy hitting. That's like 4 guaranteed outs in the lineup. And the rotation is terrible, I'm going to be completely honest. Even in a perfect world where Gossman becomes the top rotation starter we at one point thought he was going to be, even if Gallardo maintains his kind of late career renaissance, even if Tillman returns to not disgustingly awful levels of production, this team is probably still the worst team in the AL East, depending on what you think the Rays are, and depending on how healthy you think the Yankees are going to be. And those are two big ifs. But I mean, I think they really screwed up. I think this was a team that maybe 2 years ago had an opportunity to win the World Series, and their ownership and management totally blew it by refusing to spend the necessary money to become a truly top team.
Yeah.
I completely agree. They chose a really weird year to spend money on when they probably, most definitely missed their window to win 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And, we talk about some teams out there wasting the best years that they have with their star players. I mean, Manny Machado is a star. He is
Oh,
as
yeah.
of, I consider him an MVP contender going into the season. And
Yeah,
you have
for
a
sure.
perennial all-star in Adam Jones who's not getting younger. It's a tricky situation because that's all they have. They have
I
nothing
think
else.
I think they thought they couldn't spend money because they needed to save it to sign Chris Davis. But I think that was really poor judgment because I think they would have been a lot better off we spending that money um, in years previous and then just letting Chris Davis go if they couldn't afford to keep him.
Yeah, I think they
I
got a
mean,
little bit of a tunnel vision there.
yeah. Would you agree with what is that agreement?
Yeah. I mean,
Um, I think that was a very poor judgment. And the other thing is that this is a team that was in, the doghouse of the league for a good decade before they kind of had this resurgence.
It's 11
But the
o'clock.
fact is, except for Machado, they've done a terrible job developing their talent. I mean, Britton, as good as he is as a closer, is a failed starter. Matsus is a failed. I mean, their whole bullpen was essentially has been guys who are failed starters. And as good as their bullpen's been, that's like not good if all your starters are failing to become starters and you have to put them in the bullpen. And that's just one example. I mean, Machado's really their only position guy to come out of their system and succeed in a decade. I mean, Matt Wieters was supposed to be what Buster Posey is to the league. I don't know if a lot of people realize that.
well,
But
there's injuries involved too. He was good when he like
no,
defensively he's pretty good.
Matt Wieters, before he had even excluding the Tommy John injury, was supposed to be Joe Mauer, Buster Posey level catching.
Oh, well, yeah, then
And
clearly
he
that's
never
not that
came
level.
close to that. I mean,
No.
they've done a really poor job developing their taking advantage of their farm system is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so let's shift gears to a team that has a bit of a better shot to make the postseason this year in the Texas Rangers, who, they pretty much have their team set. They won the division last year, so they're in a good spot going into this season. They apparently have reached out to Ian Desmond, who is shockingly still a free agent, and they reached out to see if he would be willing to play left field for them, which, is clearly a hole since, Hamilton is going to miss the first month of the season, but even beyond that, it's a big question mark. Ian Desmond, let's just first consider this.
I'm so confused how he's still a free agent.
Yeah, let's talk about that first. So, power hitting shortstop that won 3 Silver Sluggers in the last 5 years is not desired by anybody to play shortstop. Does that sound right?
Understand it.
I don't understand
I
either.
don't get it.
He must. The only thing I can think of is that his like him and his agent are valuing himself at a number that's very, very different than what the league considers him for. He was considering all the bizarre signings, trades, and moves and overvaluations of talent that happens. There's really no reason. His season last year was nowhere near poor enough for him to get this little interest. And it's not like he's been in decline for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason that Alexi Ramirez should have signed before him. Is I think the simplest way to put it.
Well, I think Alexei Ramirez is just a give me shortstop for the Padres. Like that. It's not because a team wanted him. Like,
But still,
contending teams should want Ian Desmond to play shortstop
Yeah.
for them.
yeah. No, it's bizarre. It's really hard to. I mean, I don't. There's really just no. I think it's really inexplicable.
Now, if
Maybe
you're
his
the
defense is worse than advertised and commonly discussed.
His
Maybe he's
metrics
not-
aren't even that bad.
Sorry?
His defensive stats
I'm
aren't
just-
that bad even.
Maybe he's not great in the clubhouse. And it's just not. We just don't really know about it. I don't know. I can't really. I don't know.
now
Or-
if you're the Rangers, would you? No. If you're the Rangers, if you're Desmond, would you consider signing 1-year deal to play left field for the Rangers?
I would want some time at shortstop. I wouldn't want to lose shortstop altogether. Elvis Andrus is obviously the shortstop. He's probably a better defensive shortstop. But, I think it's tricky because if I'm Ian Desmond, I don't want to just stop being a shortstop.
Yeah.
Because that's a very valuable position. He's spent a lot of time spent 5 years playing the position. And
It'd have to be,
and then even longer developing that. You can't just let that go.
to
Right?
me, it'd have to be a really, I'd have to be getting a lot of money, basically.
Yeah.
I'd have to be getting $18 million or something, 16. I'd have to be getting more than the qualifying offer.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have the qualifying offer? Did they offer him that?
Yeah.
Qualifying offers expire, don't they?
No, it's the Rangers one.
They don't just stay there forever, do they?
If the Rangers wanted to sign him, they had to give up their 19th overall pick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the qualifying offer is not expired.
Really? I thought they have a certain window of time that they can accept the qualifying offer. Weren't we talking about that in November? Last week to accept the qualifying offer?
Yeah, no, that's
the
only
thing, right?
That's only accepting the qualifying offer.
Oh, the team can give him that same contract though. They can offer him that amount, but it's not the qualifying offer.
I don't know what you're asking me.
It's technically not.
Still be in the window.
It's technically not the qualifying offer, right?
Doesn't he still have to be? No, it's indefinite because the Rangers are losing the draft pick if they sign him. So isn't it indefinite?
Yeah. I'm confused. I'm very confused. All right, so let's consider something else really quick for fantasy owners. Imagine Ian Desmond with left field and shortstop eligibility and let that sink in for a moment.
Okay.
Has it sunk in?
Not really.
No? Okay. Yeah, he'd be a very powerful hitter at two of the weakest positions in baseball. And that is definitely an added value for fantasy owners, which, is kind of bad because I can't see him keeping shortstop eligibility if he becomes a full-time left fielder going forward. But, yeah, as of right now, you take it, and he has a lot of value. So there's an upside to that, if you're looking for one. If you're looking for an upside for a shortstop becoming an outfielder. All right, let's move on to our next story. There's been a few rule changes to Major League Baseball that were released this past week. One of them is about the rules regarding sliding at second base, which has been discussed many times on this podcast. It was mostly brought up because of the famous Chase Utley slide in the postseason, and Joe Torre came out and said there's going to be changes made. And so there were changes. Basically, it's a lot more restrictive. It basically says runners cannot target the player in any way, and that's basically it. It's you can't go out of the base path to target a player. You can't come on. You can't come. You have to have the intent of sliding into the base. If you slide through the base or slide around the base or whatever, then you're out, and that's interference or whatever. And it's odd because some of these rules I could have sworn are already a rule, but I guess they're just re-clarifying what the rule is. So
I think most of them were already rules, like you said, but no one just knows it. It's just I don't know, you should know that. How are they gonna know if you're going after the defender versus you're going into the base on half of the place? Because obviously the one on the Chase Utley side was obvious, but half of the time you could take someone out and the ump could say, "Oh, you were going after the player when you slid in too late accidentally. You messed up on your slide overall."
No, yeah. So part of the specifications are
I didn't read it all, so I don't know.
you end up in the slide matters. So you can't slide through the bag anymore, which I think was one of the biggest problems. Is people are sliding super late and taking out players basically before sliding. What are all the dings in the background?
That hurts.
Oh, sorry if I apologize.
It's okay.
Oh, sounds.
All right.
Sorry.
It's okay. train of thought is gone. So the result is now factored in, like how you end up. So if you come off the base sliding, if you slide right through it or if you slide right past it, that is clearly showing intent towards the player, not the base. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm pretty sure you can't target players outside the base paths with the old reaching slide anymore, which there's been a lot of flexibility on in the past. So it's more centralized in the base path, and the neighborhood play is still there, but it's now reviewable. So yeah, those are the main changes. There's not a lot of discussion there, other than, do you like it or not? That's basically it. It's yes or no. So I assume you guys are okay with this change, right?
Meh. It's like no real opinion.
Okay.
I have to read into it. I haven't read it that much yet.
Rudy?
I don't really feel strongly about this kind of stuff, to be quite honest.
I think it's important.
I think it's a mentality thing more than anything.
I think it's an enforcement problem.
You have to make the players understand, which is what I'm kind of saying. And what I kind of mean is, you have to make the players understand that it's not acceptable to intentionally try to take out a defender.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is the way to get that realized, I'm fine with it. If it's not, then we need to continue to work to improve it. But it's the Chase Utley type of idea, that concept, and I don't know truly how often it happens. It's very hard to tell. It's very subjective.
It's pretty often.
But
I've seen a lot.
It's not acceptable in the game to be that violent, and it needs to be, the culture needs to be changed. And I know it kind of sounds wimpy and soft, but we can't risk ending guys' careers over single outs. And to me, it's kind of the integrity of the game. I mean, I'm all for doing as much as you can to win, but when you're really risking the health of opposing opponents, I don't think it's acceptable. It's really no different than running someone out at home. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Running over, I mean.
And I mean, like, a lot of the argument is, well, the middle infielders have to know how to field correctly to protect themselves. They shouldn't be having to protect themselves from the runner.
That's terrible. Who argues that?
There's people that say if they do it right, they protect themselves. You should not be trying to protect yourself.
That's beyond stupid.
You should not be in danger to begin with.
That's like,
yeah.
I mean, is it acceptable if there's a infield fly for a base runner to push, the fielder when they try to catch the ball, when they try to catch the pop-up? No. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement.
I also agree with you, Uwe, in that it is an enforcement thing too, because I guarantee most of this was already as a rule beforehand.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the last time I've seen an interference call where the runner, the double play is called. I can't remember the last time that's happened. Because umpires are so flexible.
They call interference? Is that what you're saying?
No, they're way too flexible. Like, players will clearly slide outside of the base path and not be within arm's reach of the base and get away with it. Players will slide past the bag.
Yeah. You're saying they're too lenient, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
right?
They're too flexible, lenient. They don't enforce it. And it's stupid. Yeah, that's all I have on that matter. There was one other change, a little less significant. They're now going to time the mound visits this year to make them 30 seconds, which I can't say I've ever timed a mound visit before, but I imagine that's not a big deal.
I think past the kind of principle of adding more timing to the game, which I don't know how many people are for. I really think who cares, to be quite basically.
Yeah, but, I don't think mound visits are normally longer than that, right?
Yeah, no, okay. The regular mound visit isn't normally 30 seconds. It's the visits to that's in the late in the game where like the manager comes out and like has a whole play for his defense because there's a runner on third or something. or
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. When
Yeah.
I can't believe managers still bring their whole infield in to go over
Yeah.
a play. Like, how do you not know what to do at this point with your whole team?
those are the times I would go over 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think it's gonna go over 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's not a big deal. It's like the batter's box thing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't changed the game very much. I mean, it probably has a little bit, just small statistics that change in terms of pace of play or whatever, but it doesn't affect the environment. Yeah, that's all for the rule changes. There's one more story that we'll talk about really quick, and then before we go into our teams of the week, and that is Jose Bautista recently gave his demands to the Blue Jays that he'd want for an extension. Basically, just point blank, told him what he'd want, what contract he'd want, and if they weren't willing to give him that, then he's gonna go to free agency. That's basically what he said. I don't have a problem with the way you went about it, but it has to do with the amount. There were rumors that he asked for a 5-year, $150 million, which is a lot for a 35-year-old. It's a lot for anybody, but it's a lot for a 35-year-old.
I really don't believe it.
I don't, and apparently he's denied that specific number, but I'd imagine he wants to get paid. But
I mean,
the years are going to be the issue. Like, how many years do you give him?
I would give him 3.
I give him 3.
Maybe 4 if he's willing to take.
I'd give him 3.
If he's willing to take a more reasonable amount of money, I'll give him 4 per year. But I guess like per year discount, I'll give him a 4th year. And if I give him 3, I'd probably definitely throw in a vesting option. But he's a tough guy to really quantify. Really probably one of the hardest guys in the league. He's kind of reminds me of the Victor Martinez situation with the Tigers a few years, I think a year ago, actually now, 2 years ago, where Vimar had that incredible season, and they kind of paid for that season, but I think we all knew at the time that season was going to be an outlier, and now they're paying for it, that they kind of bid on him for that one, bounce, incredible late career year. And as good as Bautista has been recently, or the past 5 years.
5 years is a long time.
He's been probably a top 10 baseball player for 5 years now. He's 35 old, and I've always been suspicious about his performance, and I will never really be completely confident. He's not the guy who to me stands out as, long.
I don't know what you're saying.
Maintaining this level for much longer is what I'm trying to say. I'd be really surprised that I've always, honestly, I guess I'll just say it instead of alluding to it, I've always been fairly confident that he juices or uses some illegal way to have this, to be on this level. So I would just be, he's a very difficult player to invest in when, who's a very late bloomer. He's a power hitter. Power hitters don't age well.
Power hitters age better than a lot of other players. I don't know what you're talking about. Power hitters probably age the best of any players. Is that wrong? Hello?
I don't know. I guess, I would say that's not really the rule.
I can't think of a lot of.
I guess power hitters of his prolific ability tend to age well, but I don't know if power hitters in general. I mean,
well, like Alex Rodriguez
there's
comes to
plenty
mind.
of power hitters who lose their pop.
Okay, to an extent.
For me personally, I don't really think I have never really been all too suspicious about him roiding. For me, what's gonna if I were a team, I'd be considering his injury history over the last couple of years, because he has gotten a fair amount of injuries overall, even though he has hit like he has still had amazing years. He has had a good amount of injuries, so I'd be taking that into account.
Well, yeah, of course. And I mean, aging players, that's always the issue. That's the risk. That's what you're losing. I don't think he's at a point where you don't. He is reliable with the results. There's no, oh, he might not hit for power this year, though. He is definitely solidified himself as one of the best power hitters in the game. And I would give him a similar contract to Cespedes. I'd probably, I'd say he's overall a better hitter than Cespedes even, just a lot older, obviously. I think teams will want his bat in the lineup even with the health risks. I think that's just how it's going to be. And I don't agree that they're paying for one season. Like, they're paying for the one season. He's hit like this for 5 seasons now. This is not a fluke. And I know you don't trust everything about him for some reason, but he's proven. Like, there's that his results are proven. So
what would you pay him?
I would.
What's the max you would give him? What's the max you would give him?
I would give him a 4-year $100.
4 years, 100.
Yeah. I would maybe even go a little more, like 410, 115, for a player like that.
Wow.
I'd only go 100. I'd go 100 max. I wouldn't go more than 100.
I mean, think about how much money some of the best players in the game are getting just because they're a bit younger, which is, important for health reasons. But if he's going to put up the numbers that are better than some of these players that are getting $150 million contracts, I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take that risk.
What about 3 years, 85?
Sure, that's Cespedes-like, right?
Yeah,
I would be more happy with that. I don't know if I would even give him 3 years, 90, just to get him. Or I'll give him the 4 years, 110, if he was willing to defer some of the money.
Yeah, sure.
Which has become really, really common. And if he's willing to defer money, I could go pretty freaking high for his payment. That would be a major factor. If I was the Blue Jays, I would have to really make sure that that's a heavily negotiated aspect of the deal, is how much deferred money he's willing to take. Mm-hmm. Because that just makes it way more palpable to sign him to a very expensive deal for a guy who's going to be 36 when this new deal kicks in.
Yeah, but, numbers don't lie. He is one of the best hitters in the game.
And the Blue Jays have basically never spent big money on a guy, ever. I think Vernon Wells is probably the only guy.
That didn't go very well for them, did it, now?
Yeah. I think they gave Alex Rios a big contract for the time, but
Russell Martin got some good money for a catcher. Nothing huge, though. That's good money, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Bautista. Apparently, Encarnacion wants an extension.
Okay, he's 100% on steroids. If there's any guy that I had to bet my life earnings on him being a steroids user,
that's him. You're taking him.
He's just the guy. I mean, Jose Bautista was on like 5 different teams, and found that Nelson Cruz type of thing where they kind of came out of nowhere when they really broke out.
Was Bautista on a lot of teams?
Yeah, he was on like 4 different teams.
Okay.
But like people around the league, like clearly people saw talent. Bautista was on the Orioles, the Rays, the Royals, and the Pirates before getting to the Blue Jays. So clearly people saw something in him. And as long as it took him to really develop. And Encarnacion, I know it's a tangent, but can I just please just tell you guys his ridiculously stupid power outburst in his career? Can I just please
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. First full season, 117 games, 15 home runs. Second full season, 139 games, 16 home runs. Next year, 146 games, 26 home runs. Next year, 2019, Next full year, 2011, 134 games, 17 home runs. 2012, 151 games, 42 home runs.
That's
In
quite
the
the jump.
next 3 years, he hit 128 games in 2015, 34 home runs. So from 2012 to 2015, he averaged like 35 home runs after having more than 21 once in 5 and 6 years. I mean, that doesn't happen. That's not how it works. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. That's just not how development works. You don't just suddenly turn from who's like a guy who hits like 15 home runs every year.
I don't know.
Like it was like just like a mediocre hitter. Like you don't turn into from Dexter Fowler into Adam Jones in 1 year, and then that's just how your career changes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's not how it works.
I think it happened. I think it's got to happen though. Like, I don't know. There's got to be players out there that just break out and turn up the power like that. But yeah, it's a little bit odd.
17 to 42.
Suspicious, indeed. All right, that's good. That's all our top stories. Let's go ahead and talk about our teams of the week before we close up our show. Yeah, this week we are going to talk about a couple AL West teams. We got the Astros and the Mariners. Let's talk about the Astros first. They are good.
That's it. That's
Any
all
arguments?
No.
They are really good. How about that? I'll raise you one.
I really love their team.
We seem really passionate about it.
I think their organization, their management was shut on for quite a while for their tanking strategy, and then for not signing their top 3 draft picks 2 years ago, not signing any of them. But they fucking know what they're doing. I think that's the best way to put it. I think they know what they're doing. They are the anti-Padres, anti-Diamondbacks of the major leagues.
Anti a lot of teams, really. They're good.
I really like their trade of to get Ken Giles, because last year 2 years ago their bullpen was shitty. Last year their bullpen was good at the first half. Second half they were used too much and they kind of started struggling. I think Ken Giles he just brings a whole new mentality to that bullpen. I really like that pickup. I hate that the Astros have him though.
I heard that Luke Gregerson, he was telling a reporter that he was saying Giles is a really good pitcher, but I haven't done anything to lose my job as a closer, so I'm gonna go out there and compete still, and I think I still should be the closer of the team. Definitely not gonna happen, but interesting mentality. And bullpen spots are one of those. It's like the only position where you can't afford to be selfish when you're doing that kind of stuff. And there's no position blocking with both bullpens either. Like the Yankees showed us that they have 3 closers and they're really good. Nobody's like, oh well, Chapman's blocking a really good closer in Miller. They got a problem. No, they're like, the Yankees are really freaking good because all of them are going to pitch and all of them are going to be productive. So it's not like Gregerson's going to lose anything. He's not going to have the saves, but he's still going to pitch plenty and be productive.
They still have a treasure chest of prospects too. I mean, I think they have 2 weaknesses. If anything, is they're kind of one infielder away a little bit. I feel like
they're an AJ Reed away from being a really good infield.
Exactly. So, but just in general, one of Valbuena, Castro, Singleton, that's one too many kind of replacement level guys for me for a contending team in the infield,
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other thing is that they'll probably have to replace Rasmus after this year. and I think Gomez is going to be a free agent too.
I think
So
Marisnik is good enough to play.
Yeah, no, they're fine.
Rusnick
They
is
have Alex
definitely good enough.
Bregman. They have Alex Bregman, AJ Reed, Cal Tucker, Daz Cameron, Jake Marisnik, and Tucker. So they have
They have double Tuckers.
Preston Tucker. So they're not even really worried out there. So if anything, it might even be even better next year. Is what I'm really trying to get at.
The year after this one,
After another year of development for McCullers, Springer, and Correa on top of all that.
Yeah, it's a solid team, no doubt. Their pitching is really good too. It's underrated. It's really good. Keuchel, enough said about Keuchel. Like, he's ridiculously good.
I've never
And
seen a
doesn't
guy
throw
turn.
hard.
I've never seen two guys turn from barely fifth starting quality to Cy Young winners faster than Jake Arrieta and Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, it was pretty seamless. Like, a season and a half is all it took, pretty much. Yeah, so it's fun to think about.
In between phase.
Yeah, they just emerged. Colin McHugh has emerged as a solid pitcher out of nowhere. And then you got you have Mike Fiers and Lance McCullers, obviously a young stud right now. They've got who else?
Belton,
They have
Fister.
Yeah, Fister is a good pickup. They're set. They don't have problems like most teams have. Like, it's very comforting when you have a Carlos Correa that just came on the scene and absolutely destroyed the game of baseball. But they're in a really good spot going forward. Yeah. So just really quick, do you think they win the division? Yes or no?
I would be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah.
If the Rangers can sign Desmond,
To play left.
it gets closer. I mean, the Rangers would be really. I bet, I don't know. Bearing unforeseen, if I had to bet money on one team that would be to win the division, it would be the Astros.
Yeah, I say they win the division too. Healthy
They're just
Correa and
insane.
healthy Springer together for a season is going to be insane.
yeah.
We didn't see a lot of that last season. Springer was not super healthy last season.
He wasn't.
They're going to be good. So another AL West team, the Mariners. Clearly, we don't think they're going to win the division based on what we just said. But they've done some stuff. They've made changes. I'm not saying it. Notice I'm not using any adjectives to describe whether they've gotten better or worse, because I'm not
They're
sure.
poor man's Diamondbacks, and when it comes to mismanaging their talent levels,
They're a poor man's. Okay, I
They
kind
just seem to-
of get that.
they just do this weird thing every offseason where they sub out, where they take one step forward and two steps back. They just they don't win any deals. They don't win anything. They just either lose or neither got better or worse, and they never win any deals. They always give up as much as they get back, is what I'm trying to say.
Can I ask, what was that Wade Miley deal?
It was dumb. That's what
That
it
was
was.
disgustingly
It
bad.
was dumb.
Yeah, they traded away
Carson Smith and Elias is.
And what was the Leonis Martin trade? It was dumb.
both
Yeah.
kind of dumb. They just kind of cleared out their bullpen.
The Collins
They
trade
had
was
a
okay.
great- They had a great bullpen, and then they just cleared it out.
I think Carnes is going to be sneaky good.
I mean, that was a decent trade. Mike Montgomery was a good buy low candidate.
That wasn't this year though. That wasn't this year.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, as in getting guys. I mean, they made some good deals. I mean, their team is basically going to have 100% based off. There's basically two things I'll decide how their season next year. One is if Cano and Hernandez play like Cano and Hernandez, or if they play just good players. And two is if Walker and Paxton become the top of the line pitchers that they have the potential to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have Iwakuma back, who he's good when he pitches. Like, he's solid.
Except he has no arm. It's just a mangled piece of flesh.
But it's an effective mangled piece of flesh when he pitches. Yeah, they seem like they put a lot of effort into being a third or fourth place team.
They should sign Ian Desmond.
They should. They have a young guy that's not
I like the
great.
guy they have right.
They have Kettle Marte.
They had a young guy at shortstop for like 7
No. This
years.
guy's
This
more.
guy's better than
more
all
diverse.
the other young guys.
He played well last
this
season.
This guy's not going to be Dustin Ackley. This guy's not going to be...
No. Well, from what I've seen, he's more like he's dynamic defensively, which is good. But he's more of your. He's not your like risky power hitter type. He's like solid hits for average. Like he's your like solid hits for a high average, really good speed type player. Which is
he's not white. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't get that from like the first thing I said? No.
All I'm saying is that they're probably the worst team in the history of baseball at developing middle infielders.
I was wondering where you're going with that. Like
Yeah,
the worst team in the history of baseball. That's intense.
I don't think people realize how good Dustin Ackley was supposed to be.
That's
pretty freaking
fair.
good.
That's fair. Yeah. He was
Brad
supposed to be
Miller,
really
you
good.
know, he was gonna be like the power hitting shortstop, left-handed power hitting shortstop.
And Taylor was Chris Taylor. I
Chris
think,
Taylor,
was
yeah, I don't
total
know.
failure.
I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. Yeah, the Mariners, not so interesting. Not so interesting right now. But the AL West overall, it could be interesting. I think. There's the Texas teams have taken over the West, for sure.
Fortunately.
Yeah, we're not talking about the Angels for a vote. I know that upsets you, but we're not going to do it. Okay?
No, I'm really happy we're not.
Okay, good. You need a break.
I don't want to talk about them right now.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that is gonna do it for our podcast today. Thank you all for joining us. As always, leave us any feedback you have. It is much appreciated. You can tweet us at WPB_podcast. We've been a lot more active there, so check us out on Twitter. Check out our website, warmpeacebaseball.myfree.website. Link is down below too. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes if you want to get this podcast on iTunes. If you would rather listen to it there. If you're listening to it on iTunes, then subscribe to us on YouTube, the other way around. Yeah. All the links are there for you as well. I'm going to take a second to remind everybody about a survey that we're still running called the MLB Style Survey, which basically asks about your favorite MLB style factors like jerseys, team uniforms. That's what jerseys are. Team names and logos and mascots and things of that nature. Go ahead and check it out. The links are going to be there as well. That's all I got for today. So, yeah. Thank you all for joining. As always, Farbode.